total, I've been in Taiwan 22 years.
22? Oh.
Yes, 22 years. They tell me you can get a Taiwan passport, but you have to go to the army. Tomorrow, I'm in the army. For a 1-year army is just not bad. It's okay. I mean, this is my home. Like, I've been here my whole life. And, you know, I really would love to have a Taiwanese passport. I feel like, you know, for the rest of my life, I want to live here. 大家好，我是亚多，我叫 Nir， 我在台湾22年，我是 rapper， 老是歌手。好 ，Let's go.
And first, I want to ask you, like, can you simply share your story?
Yeah, sure. So, I was born in Israel, and then I moved to Taiwan when I was 4 years old. Yes, in 1997. And then at 7 years old, I moved to Hong Kong. And then at 9 years old, I went back to Israel. And then at 11, I came back to Taiwan, and I've been here ever since.
So, how long you have been here in Taiwan, like, so far?
Total, I've been in Taiwan 22 years.
22? Oh.
Yes, 22 years. And so the first time I was here for 3 years, and then now I've been for 19. I just put it together and I counted as 22, yeah.
Okay, and when you tell people that you've been here like 22 years, how they usually react?
哇，你可以说中文吗？I'm like, yeah, 可以。你在台湾几年啊？哦，我在台湾22年，哇，很多。
At that time, like when you studied like in the school, what language teacher usually gonna speak?
English. My whole education was in English.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So everything from the moment I started kindergarten until high school, finished, graduate, university as well, everything English.
So you moved here because of your family, right?
Yes, yes.
And why did your family they move to Taiwan?
So my dad kind of moved here with the family because of his job, which was like high tech, like computers and stuff, and Taiwan was like kind of the center for that. So he came to Taiwan, and you know, I was young. I was like 4 years old, so I moved here. I moved there with him.
For you, was it hard at the beginning, like to adapt to a new country, or you don't?
I mean, I was 4, so I don't really remember much. It was. I mean, it was new. It was different for me from what I was used to. But in the end, I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. Like, this is a nice place. And I was 4 years old. I don't really know what's going on around me.
Well, so for you, like, it doesn't mean that you actually kind of like more used to like Taiwanese lifestyle than.
Oh yeah, I'm very used to. I'm very used to Taiwanese lifestyle. When I go back to my home country, I'm confused. I don't know what's going on.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, oh, what is this? Why do people do this? But like here, I'm like, okay, yeah, I know how this works. Like I feel more kind of with the culturally. I feel more like at home in Taiwan than I do back home. But like overall, like I was here my whole life. So kind of culturally, I feel very kind of. I understand the culture here much better than I do in my home country. Yeah.
So when you go like back to Israel, like what kind of things is the hardest for you to get used to?
That's a good question, actually. Just the way that people do things. Like I would say, like here, the culture is more kind of like people think about society as first. So it's like, okay, how do I kind of fit into the society, and how do I fit into the social circles? Well, back home is very individual. So it's like, okay, it's me. Like I don't really care about the society. It's only me. And that's very different for me. For example, here, if you eat in a restaurant, right, it's very quiet. And like people don't really talk. But in back home, like people are watching YouTube videos, and it's just like loud and chaotic.
And for you, like, does it feel weird when the people do it back
Yeah, it feels
Israel?
really strange. Yeah, it feels really strange because I'm just like, maybe have some respect to the people around, you know, like be more quiet and stuff like that. Yeah, like it's really strange to me overall. But I like how it's here more. I like the kind of respect of society. Kind of don't like kind of
bother
do too much. Yeah, don't bother too much the others. Yeah, and you're at a restaurant, you're in an MRT, you know, like use headphones, like you know, just relax, kind of more quietly. It makes the ride more enjoyable for everybody. Like it's not like chaos happening around.
Oh yeah. What was the impression when you returned?
When I came back the second time when I was 11, right? I remember one thing. I have a very core memory of that. It's I really like buildings and stuff. And it was just when the 101 was getting built. So I still remember kind of driving from Taoyuan Airport to Taipei and seeing like the 101 getting built. Like it was almost done. I would say it was probably like the last few cranes were on there. But just seeing that, like it was really for me. It was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I was like, seeing the 101 being built, it was pretty cool.
Well, this is cool that you could see like how the process of
the cranes. It was just towards the end when the cranes were the building was basically built. I think it was like maybe it was gonna open like 1 or 2 months after I arrived, but those still some cranes. I was like, oh, this is cool because I was really into buildings. It's pretty interesting to see.
Yeah. Okay, this is nice. As a child, like, did you speak a Chinese language or not?
So I went because I went to international school. Everything, my environment around me, everybody around me spoke English. So I didn't really need to learn Chinese. But I mean, I knew kind of the basic Chinese, like how to order food, that kind of stuff, like the really super basic Chinese. And then as I got older, also my university, even though it was like a local university, like Mingchuan, I still studied in English. So I needed to use English, and every time I try to talk to people, they answer me in English. Because people here want to practice their English.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I want to practice my Chinese, they want to practice their English. So they still answer me in English. So I was like, okay, like, you know, how can I kind of adapt to it? So I started, you know, kind of researching for myself and more like teaching myself Chinese more. So right now, I can speak Chinese. I can understand it if it's being spoken. Like if there's two people having a conversation, I can understand it completely. But to actually build sentences and actually build a conversation in Chinese for me is really hard.
Oh, okay.
Like I'm still not used to it. I can read pretty well. Like I type on my phone. Like I can have conversations with people in Chinese on my phone. Hiding the characters and stuff, like
no,
like completely not. But like yeah, like speaking, it's hard. It's kind of hard. It's hard. It's hard to speak.
And like when you hear on the streets, is it easier for you to communicate with people in English, or like if you go like to the restaurants or somewhere?
I mean, I try to practice my Chinese.
Okay.
Like, I really try to practice my Chinese. I mean, yeah, it's easier to conversate in English, but my Chinese is good enough that, you know, whatever I need, whether it's food or anything, I can do the whole thing in Chinese.
Okay.
Not a problem, yeah.
And now I want to ask you about Taiwanese language. Can you speak Taiwanese or not?
I can speak some words. I can make sentences. I can not like have a full conversation, but, you know, maybe I can say like 15 words or something.
Oh, okay.
So I can say a sentence here. I'll give you a sentence, my favorite one. Takeho,
大家好.
Wakaligong, Wobeki Laosai.
What does it mean?
It means, hello everyone, I have to say, I have to take a diarrhea.
Oh. That sounds useful, right?
Yeah. I also really like chaboa, means I don't understand, or like kine, like hurry up. And then of course like bad words, but I'm not gonna say bad words.
Yeah. Because you've been living here like for like more than 20 years, like 22 years, right? Do you have the chance to get Taiwanese ID?
No, I cannot because I'm a foreigner, so I'm unable to get a Taiwanese ID unless I give up my Israeli passport. So basically how it works is if one of your parents is Taiwanese, then you're able to have a dual citizenship. So you can keep your original passport plus you can get a Taiwanese passport. But if none of your parents have a Taiwan passport, then you have to give up your original passport. You then have to apply for a passport here. And there's a chance that, you know, if you get rejected, and then you try to reapply for your original passport, you'll get rejected for that too, then you have no passport.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a risk. I mean, I understand why it's done, but it's a risk. I mean, I really would love to get a Taiwanese passport. Like, I mean, this is my home. Like, I've been here my whole life. And, you know, I really would love to have a Taiwanese passport. I feel like, you know, for the rest of my life, I want to live here. Like,
it's hard, right?
Yeah, but, you know, they tell me you can get a Taiwan passport, but you have to go to the army. Tomorrow, I'm in the army. It's 1 year army is just not bad. It's okay.
Yeah. When you were a kid, like in Taiwan, like was there like any like difficulties or challenges for you or not?
So when I was really young, no, not really, because I was too young to remember anything. But I would say kind of the biggest challenges was basically people would like stare at me. And I mean, I got used to it after a while. And now I stare at other foreigners when I see them. It's pretty entertaining. Because I'm like, oh, there's more. Oh.
Like around there, right? For you, like, do you think you adopted like Taiwanese culture pretty well, or?
Oh yeah, completely. Like I feel completely like in place in Taiwanese culture. To put me like between a place that has Taiwanese culture and my own culture, I would feel more comfortable in Taiwanese culture. Like it feels just so much more normal to me because I'm used to it.
Yeah, I mean, we grew up here.
I grew up here. I know how it's done. I know how things work. You know, if I go into like a Taiwanese person's house, I know how to kind of how to talk, how to behave. That if I go into like my own country's people's house, I'm like.
What should I do, right?
Like, well, because I was at my friend's house back home. You know, I was like, oh yeah, can I get some water? He's like, oh, just go to the fridge, open the fridge, take the water. I was like, okay, okay. So I took the water, I drank the water, and then like after a while, I wanted more water. I was like, hey, can I have some water? He's like, hey, I told you, you can go to the fridge and just take whatever you want. It's like, okay, okay. I guess. So I'm used to more to Taiwanese culture.
Do you have like any favorite like Taiwanese movies or not?
So there's this one movie. It's called Manga.
Manga. Ah.
So good.
Oh.
I like it. It talks about like the gangsters in Wanhua. Such a good movie. Actually, one of the guys from that movie used to go to my high school.
Oh.
There's a couple grades above me. Very nice guy. I really, he was a really nice guy, and I was like, oh, that's cool.
Do you have like any favorite Taiwanese song or singer?
I listen to a lot of Taiwanese rap because I work with a bunch of rappers as well. My favorite ones is MJ116.
Oh yeah.
I love their stuff. Their stuff is really good. It's pretty good. I mean, honestly, the hip hop in Taiwan is growing right now. It's really starting.
Now I want to ask you the last question. So because you've been here like for more than 22 years, it's like the biggest part of your life, right? Do you feel more like a Taiwanese person or more like a foreigner?
That's a really good question. I really like that question because I think about it a lot. I actually do think about it, and it's like I will always be a foreigner. I will always look like a foreigner. No matter how long I live here, I will always be a foreigner. But the way I do things, the way I handle myself is very Taiwanese. I just prefer it over. So it really depends who I'm talking to. With other foreigners, I'm a foreigner. When I talk to Taiwanese people, a lot of them tell me, "Oh, you've been here for so long. You know, you can speak Chinese and stuff." Okay, you're Taiwanese. You know? So it really depends on person to person, honestly. But for me, I don't mind. People want to call me foreigner, okay. People want to call me Taiwanese, okay. Like I'm okay with both. Like
Right.
In the end of the day, I'm always going to be a foreigner. I'm always going to be an Atoa here in Taiwan. I live with it. It doesn't bother me. I accept it.
So yeah, that's it for today's interview.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. And now let's say bye-bye together, okay?
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.